Good evening, everyone. Hopefully, you're having a wonderful day so far. I got another one for you today. So, I was on the interwebs and the YouTubes for the last little while, and what do I see? Pierre Poilievre is running in Alberta. We got CTV's Power Play up here talking about that, and let's see what the mainstream media has to say about all of this. But first, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. And if you wouldn't mind putting something down in the chat, it makes this video go further and further. So that would be awesome. Other than that, let's get to this.
Federal Conservatives today as the MP-elect Damien Carrick said he's going to give up his Alberta riding so that Pierre Poilievre can run for that seat. Now, the Conservative leader posted on social media today saying, "It is with humility and appreciation that I've accepted Damien Carrick's offer to resign his seat in Battle River, Crowfoot, so that I can work to earn the support of citizens there to serve them in Parliament." Damien's selfless act to step aside temporarily as Member of Parliament shows his commitment to change and restoring Canada's promise. He went on to say, "I will work to earn the trust of the good people of Battle River, Crowfoot, and I will continue to hold the Liberal minority government to account until the next federal election, when we will bring real change to all Canadians." Now today, Prime Minister Mark Carney said,
So if you didn't already know, or you're not from Alberta, Battle River, Crowfoot is this riding right here. So it includes Camrose, Stettler, Hanna, Drumheller. Pretty safe riding. I think about 80% conservative. A lot of rural areas, farmland, and smaller cities. It doesn't include the big cities of Alberta like Edmonton or Calgary. So yeah, pretty smart the way they're going about this, because I don't think there's any way that he'll be losing this seat or this by-election. So let's continue on.
he'll call that by-election as soon as possible.
I've already indicated to Mr. Poilievre that if it's the decision of him and the Conservative Party to trigger, if I can put it that way, a by-election, I will ensure that it happens as soon as possible.
Okay.
No games, nothing, straight.
To call this particular riding safe for the Conservatives is a bit of an understatement. On Monday, the party won it with 81.8% of the vote. Joining me now is Shachi Kurl, the president of the Angus Reid Institute. Welcome back to Power Play. How you doing?
Always good to be with you, Mike.
So Battle River Crowfoot is 2,000 kilometers from Poilievre's current riding of Carleton. It's also the safest Conservative riding in this country. Is that the simple answer for why Pierre Poilievre is going there to run in a by-election?
I mean, I think we both know that's a better answer to put to Mr. Poilievre directly, but a better question rather. But I would say that, sure, I mean, efficacy would definitely be a part of this. Parliament is being recalled. Mark Carney is wanting to get going with his agenda. He held his first press conference this morning, as I'm sure you've already talked about. And so we are into a place where it does not do, and it will not do, for the person who wants to stay on as leader of the Conservative Party to not have a place in Parliament, not be able to really be the person managing and conducting his caucus in the business of Parliament. You know, the ins and outs, committee level tactics and strategies, ensuring, especially for newer rookie MPs, that, you know, they're showing up for votes on time, all of those things. Some of that, the work can be the work of the House leader, but of course, you know, Poilievre is going to want to be able to demonstrate to Canadians that here he is in the House with his expanded caucus, doing the work of the opposition. Maybe not the place he wanted to be, but certainly that's what he's going to have to show. And we recognize and remember the extent to which Jagmeet Singh, now the outgoing NDP leader, struggled early on in his time as NDP leader, not having a seat in Parliament.
Yeah, I'm interested, though. This type of move doesn't happen very often. I mean, frankly, the leader of a party normally wins his own seat. So what do you think could be the reaction from voters in that riding who just voted for Damien Carrick?
And I'll probably answer that question is a lot of people vote for the party and not just for the MPs. Now, there's quite a lot of people that as well that do vote specifically by MP to MP to MP. But, I mean, it's Alberta. It's a conservative town. A lot of people, especially out there, like Pierre Poilievre. So I don't think he'll have any hard time, especially if the MP he's taking over for kind of ushers him in with open arms, right? I think everybody's smart enough to understand that has to happen. We know it's Alberta. We know how safe it is. There's not going to be anybody being, well, there's always going to be somebody whining and complaining, but I don't think there's going to be many people who are going to be too upset about having Pierre Poilievre as their MP.
I mean, my understanding is that is a riding that votes very enthusiastically conservative and has done so over several terms. So I don't anticipate that this is going to be something that ruffles too many feathers in that riding. But hey, you couldn't take Nepean for granted. Sorry, you couldn't take Carleton for granted.
True.
So you certainly can't take Crowfoot for granted either. But I would say that that's less of a bar than the leader of the party being stuck outside the chamber would be. And there is precedent. There have been plenty of situations where newly elected leaders in leadership races have needed to ask a caucus member to stand down, step aside. Jean Chrétien was a leader without a seat in the early parts of his leadership, particularly just after 1990, had to run, I believe, in New Brunswick before coming back to his old riding of Shawinigan. It has happened before. It probably will happen again. A little bit lack of, not exactly ideal if you're Pierre Poilievre, but, he doesn't really have the time at this moment to be too choosy about the instrument by which he returns into the parliamentary chamber.
Yeah, and I was struck by how Prime Minister Carney said, look, I'm not going to play any games here. I'm going to do this as soon as I can. I'm going to call a by-election so that Mr. Poilievre can come into the House of Commons. Polling data from your...
Well, and the thing is, I remember seeing that when the boundaries changed, it included Canada. That also included a lot of government workers. And because of Pierre Poilievre saying he wants to reduce the size of government, that would mean that he would have to lay off a lot of government workers. And that's a big reason why he didn't get reelected, which makes sense. If you told your elect that what you were doing would, make you lose your job or make your job, or make it highly likely that you won't have a job in the morning, I think you'd vote for the other guy. There's that to take into account as well.
Firm shows that 9 in 10 Canadians are concerned about the prospect of a recession within a year. So how much pressure will there be on all political leaders, do you think, to make this parliament work when it is all finally constituted again?
Look, I think that the tone change that Mark Carney signaled during the campaign, it was a lot less flinty, a lot less in terms of its tone, not necessarily the policies or the positioning, but in terms of tone towards Poilievre. And in turn, we saw the handshake at the debate, for example. I think Carney certainly, and maybe Mr. Poilievre as well, have started to understand the assignment around now is not the time to revert to tactics of the past where both leaders are kind of going nya, nya, nya at each other, that there is an expectation on part of Canadians that this parliament does need to work, that these are busy and serious times, that there are greater issues at play than who's up and who's down in terms of scoring political points. And I think that Carney is signaling that he's trying to take the tone and elevate it and maybe take the snark and bring that down a little bit and bring a level of political maturity to this working parliament. We'll see how it lasts.
Yeah, and I'm guessing.
Yeah, and I was thinking about this earlier. If Mark Carney doesn't act like a child and actually postpones this election, and he also kind of doesn't do what our previous Liberal government did and hide environmental fanaticism and carbon taxes in bills that otherwise would be amazing, he could get the Conservatives on board with some of his stuff. As long as he's straight up with them about everything, then maybe we can have a government that doesn't really, or opposition, that has to vote no to everything that the Liberals put out. But most likely that's not going to happen. In the real world, most likely the Liberals will have to work with the NDP and the Bloc Québécois.
That people that you're polling would probably want to see that as well, considering how worried they are about the economy at this point as well.
Of course, different support bases will always blame the other. So Conservatives, do tend to look to the Liberals as being responsible for that lowering of tone, and vice versa. Liberal voters tend to say that it's on the Conservatives. But ultimately, you do see broad consensus around wanting to see the level of cooperative politics improve, and particularly after a hard-fought election. This is a time where, yes, the serious issues are there. Canadians are concerned about the prospect of a recession. They continue to have a lot of anxiety around the impact of tariffs. We saw more job layoff announcements today out of Ontario. You've got very serious issues coming out of certain leaders and politicians in Alberta and Saskatchewan in terms of those two provinces not feeling like they are being properly respected within Confederation. There's a lot of heavy lifting for this parliament to do. And as the season turns, Canadians themselves are perhaps less inclined to be following the day in, the day out of the political machinations, and more just looking to parliament and government to get it done.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. President of the Angus Reid Institute, Shachi Kurl, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So it'll be exciting for Pierre Poilievre running here in Alberta and being the voice for many Albertans, especially in small rural towns and just little cities. So I think the people out there will probably be pretty excited, and hopefully I can do a couple videos of whenever he's in town, because I think this will work really well with him having his family in and based in Ottawa right now and not having to move them out to Alberta, because he'll still have his house in Ottawa, the one that's saved for the leader of the opposition. So all of this stuff kind of balances out. It'll kind of suck for him because he'll have to fly out to meet his constituents often enough and then fly back. But it is what it is. I'm happy to have him here. But let me know what you guys think down below. Are you from the Battle River, Crowfoot area? And if you are, you happy to have Pierre Poilievre there kind of looking after you and defending you from the Liberals? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate that. And if you'd like to donate to the channel, there's a Buy Me a Coffee link down below. All of that goes straight back to the channel. And there's also memberships. Pretty soon, probably later on this or earlier on next month, I'll have a bunch of videos for members only. So if you want to get into that early, that would be awesome as well. So that's all I got for you.